Peace, everyone. It's Black High Priestess. Just kind of in ritual right now. So, I wanted to talk about learning from lesser women. I've been working a lot, and I've been achieving my goals. And as you all know, I'm a bartender. I'm a sommelier. And, you know, I've been doing this for years. About 20 years I've been in hospitality. I started when I was 18, right out of high school. Wasn't my first job. I worked, you know, I used to babysit and do house chores and things for people in the community, but when I was 18, I started in hospitality, and I worked at a nursing home, and then I started working at Arlington Park Racetrack, and I was there for about 7 years, and that's where I started bartending and other things, you know, and so my point is, I can meet hundreds of people a day. In my line of work, thousands of people a week, easily. And I do, often. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you have regulars, and you can build a rapport with, you know, regular customers too, and get to know people on a more intimate level. And so I meet so many people, and I think it can help people who, you know, are narrow in the type of people they hang out with, or the type of people they have access to, or, you know, the type of people you're around all the time because of your work or your lifestyle. People don't have access to that diversity that I have, you know, as an American, but, you know, also just my unique experiences as a Black female. Black women are very, very marginalized, and Black people are marginalized. And I was able to overcome that because of the decisions, you know, my parents made. But I also, you know, I have my strengths and I have my weaknesses too. You know, a lot of my powers come at a price. So, I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about is Ezulie's intuition and how it expresses itself. My candle here. So I want people, you know, who do practice Vodun and African spirituality, particularly dealing with the Congo mysteries of Ezulie, the siren, and, you know, the revolutionary. Ezulie Dantor and Ezulie Freda are one and the same. I don't want to separate them at all, like a lot of people do. I think that it's important to understand the difference between a Black woman and a white woman when it comes to the slave trade and how it created privilege for white women and oppression for Black women, particularly in, you know, in countries that practice slavery and have the residual cultural effects of the caste system and slavery. However, Ezulie Freda and Ezulie Danto do not come, the deity or the Loa, meaning the mystery, and the character trait and how it expresses itself in humanity. The Loa Ezulie does not come from slavery. She comes from West Africa Dahomey in particular. And the spirit of sacred femininity comes from the Holy Spirit, and it comes from, you know, the mysteries that are commonly known as witchcraft. This is what my brand exposes, teaches, sheds light on, but also holds and preserves from appropriation, these mysteries. So what I mean to say is that the aspect of Ezulie that is considered Dantor, or the bullshit detector, or the protectress of women, children, and women who have been abused, and the protectress of families, in the sense that during slavery, families were separated. So she became, so to speak, a patron of keeping families together, or keeping women, you know, or protecting women who have been separated from their husbands, or protecting women from being separated from their children, as was common in slavery. This aspect of Ezulie is the same Ezulie known as Freda, that is the coquettish, flirtatious, youthful, virgin female that, you know, she has the youthful virgin femininity, but she also, in her own sense, has a deep intuition and exposes men for their lust and their, you know, their chauvinistic nature. So, you know, Ezulie Freda being considered an aspect of ideal femininity, but if you really understand, she also represents sadness. She represents sadness of, you know, being used, being thrust into prostitution, her lover and fiance dying before consummation of the marriage, you know, the sadness of losing a lover, being separated from a lover, all of the heartache she represents, all of the, Ezulie Freda represents tragedies of love. And that is her mystery. And this is the same Orisha. We're dealing with the Little Mermaid. We're dealing with the siren who emerged from the sea for the sake of love, who made a sacrifice of going from one being to another, going from siren to female, full female, for the sake of love, and the tragedy of that. But, you know, what representing a patron of sacred femininity, and love in itself. There's no difference. So Ezulie is always a representation of feminine intuition. Intuition in general that men have, and that can represent, that can, you know, happen to a man and occur within a man. But she is intuition, and she does help women understand male-dominated society and how to remain powerful and pure within a male-dominated society. Within male domination in general. So I've had dreams of someone I was dating last year, and you know, after we broke up, I had 3 dreams of him with white women, you know, and, you know, in different scenarios, but in the dream, he was with a white woman in each dream. A different white woman in each dream. He made a comment to me before we broke up. And he tried to make it in a joking manner, but he said you get further in life with a white woman. Now, he's known to you know, prefer black women, prefer women that look like me. But I will say this, a lot of people that have gotten vaccinated are not aware that they are on a certain frequency. And I've seen and heard a lot of people who have gotten vaccinated do things completely out of character within the last few years. So I will make that a side note, but back to relating this to Ezulie's intuition. I reached out to my ex for business purposes. I was hesitant to let him back into my life because of, because of these dreams and because of, things I saw, mostly because I was not happy in the relationship. And I'm happy, sometimes you're just happier on your own than you are with someone who, is not, fulfill you and your needs, what you desire from a partnership. So, it is better to be on your own. It is better to leave that space for somebody who can actually fill it, in a satisfying way. But I guess, to make a long story short, Ezulie showed up last time we saw each other. There was a white woman who came into the bar and started flirting with him. And his behavior showed me that, he's not somebody that I want to consider starting a relationship with again. And it showed me that there is no change behavior and that he's not the type of partner that I'm looking for my life and what I want for my life. So I want women, especially black women who do practice African spirituality, to understand that Ezulie shows up as intuition, and she does not represent a white woman or a black woman in this aspect. Ezulie, and I'm mentioning these white women around my ex to let sisters know that I realized that the dreams I was having about him and white women were showing me that it was not that he may, and he could be, it's none of my concern, but it's not necessarily that he is having sex with Caucasian women, or that he is dating Caucasian women or has a preference for Caucasian women. White women in my dream represented lesser women. They represented women with less substance. In some instances, a white woman in a dream can represent a woman who is cursed, or a dead ancestor, or someone who is dead. But white and whiteness is not, when it comes to the spirit realm, it's not skin deep, meaning it's not based, it doesn't always relate to ethnicity and race, as our phenotypes do in 3D, in humanity. And you know, the spirits and the Most High communicate through dreams and communicate through, you know, angels, so to speak, angels and demons, or, you know, people hosting a certain spirit. This female came in, you know, this white woman, she came in, and I say that Ezulie came into my life because while she was not a black woman, what she again represented, me, you know, and me and her were the same age, had gone to the same schools, had, you know, so it was a spiritual situation to show me, hey, before you allow an ex who has proven to not be worthy of you back into your life in a romantic sense, let me show you that his behavior has not changed, that he is unable to turn down another woman's advances in order to prioritize you. And I want women, but especially black women, to understand Ezulie will test your man. And she is known to ruin relationships. I want you to understand the difference between our ancestors that are angelic spirits for us and guides, and unclean spirits of Jezebel and Satan. Jezebel hates marriage, and the unclean spirits can attack a marriage, can attack a relationship. That's why you can pray over it, and you will, and those unclean spirits can be exposed and defeated, not only through prayer, through action, through righteousness, through spiritual warfare. However, understanding the mystery of Ezulie, she's not there to pit women against each other. And me and this white woman who came in flirting with my ex, at the, you know, after he left, me and her got along. But I had the wisdom to recognize what she was, what she represented. She was the spirit of Ezulie coming to show me, you don't want this man in your life. You know, you got what you needed business-wise, but you're doing good, and he's not marriage material. And you know, so sisters, when Ezulie uses Caucasian women to demonstrate to you that a black man is not worthy of you, pay attention. Don't look at it as, don't get caught up in feeling insecure about your blackness. Understand that Ezulie is using recessive women to show you that your man does not have as much substance as you have. And it is dangerous for a spiritual, powerful witch, a high empath, a psychic woman, a gifted woman spiritually, to get involved with these narcissists. And when you're dealing with black men who overtly elevate and prefer white women, it's not always a slave syndrome. Sometimes it's a spiritual thing that, you know, to warn you as a black woman, you know. And I've warned black women about black men all my life, because I've known about their inferiority all of my life. But a lot of you black women, you don't understand. Ezulie has been trying to warn you about black men by using white women and showing you how the black man behaves around white women. And you know, black men have always degraded black women. Black men have always you know, black men are almost, you know, programmed, and black men have always been polyamorous, in a sense that you know, black men have always had no sexual self-control, dating back to the Bible. Don't let the slave trade did castrate the black man, but the black man's need to have multiple women dates back to the Bible. You know, and that's one of the reasons he is cursed. But when, you know, on a spiritual level, when you're dealing with the black man, you know, and how he deals with the white woman, we're in a society now that allows interracial dating. So I want sisters, again, when you're dealing with the African spirituality, remember, it's not just about, we know black men have a slave syndrome, but the ancient ancestor, not these appropriated Ezulie Freda and Ezulie Danto that emerged from the slave trade, but the ancient Ezulie, the sacred siren of the seven seas. She will use mysterious ways to keep you from getting involved with an energy vampire. And today they have a clinical term for an energy vampire or an incubus. And the clinical term for an incubus is a narcissist. This is a clinical term that describes a man hosting this high unclean spirit of a vampire, or even a Dracula. And Ezulie understands what it's like to be in subjugation to a narcissist. And so she will come and show you and warn you and show you his abusive nature. And something as subtle as a man who is supposed to be protecting you, providing for you, and giving you attention as your lover, as your husband, as your boyfriend, as your date. If he's not behaving as a gentleman, if he is a dog, if he is a beast, and he is unclean, he will not be able to resist another woman who tempts him, or resist another woman in general. A woman does not have to throw herself at your man. She can just be another woman, or she could just be another attractive woman. She doesn't have to be after your man for your man to demonstrate that he's a beast. And right now we're in a time where being a goat and being the beast is being glorified. In hip-hop, it always starts in hip-hop. It always starts with black people demonstrating how wicked we are and making it cute. And then you get these wiggers, these white people who are so desperate to be black and satanic because they're not okay with being the superior race on planet Earth right now. They want to suffer the hellfire and the curse of the black race. So they mimic our culture. And you get these wigger white men who are out here and think it's cute to degrade women. You know, because you get these white men in hip-hop and they still are superior to black men because they be having one black woman. When these white dudes get, you know, they be having one black woman. You know, they be like they do in their culture, just like with some swag. But when you get a wigger, a white man or a white woman who's desperate to behave lowly, and, you know, that wants to be black. They are not okay with being white. They want to be black. They want to be cursed. They you know, they'll act like inferior black people, you know, who think hip hop is the actual way to live and not just a bubble of entertainment to express yourself in, and then actually go out and be superior in the world, you know, not degrading yourself, you know, with every action and lyric. So again, learning from lesser women, Ezulie will bring lesser women around to reveal to you whether the spirit of your man is righteous for marriage for you as a high-powered woman, or whether you're simply dealing with an incubus who is only around you to drain your energy, to take what you have. And back to my point, ladies, with Ezulie's intuition, be careful of your exes that come around when you are doing good single. Whether, you know, and being celibate has a lot of power to it. Because when you're still sharing your sexual, you know, and this is something that a lesser woman is going to look for a man to fill that void instead of doing the healing work to be able to attract a higher, superior man. So when I, you know, in my line of work, I see a lot of lesser women. I see a lot of, you know, as a bartender, some places I work are classy, you know, higher end environments for certain clientele, private events, and sometimes it could be just like a dive bar where, you know, you're meeting people who are out and about, mostly people who are bored, unhappy, lonely, sad, alcoholics. And I you know, I want to kind of let women know you need to learn from other women's mistakes. Learn from lesser women. I see women that come into my bars, you know, and just women in general. Sometimes it's the private events where I see some of the most unhappy, uninteresting, less, you know, worthless women. And a few examples that I want women to learn from is, again, the desperation. A lesser woman will keep a man around whether she's in love or not just because she can't be alone. Maybe she can't pay her bills on her own and she needs to be with a man that she's not in love with, and that she doesn't really desire because she's unable to actually make her own money. Don't let a woman's being college educated fool you into what she's actually worth. A lot of women have a degree in something, but they can't do anything else. And when you talk to them, they may talk all about that, but God forbid they lose their job. And a lot of women who don't really have substance will sleep with a married man, will sleep with a boss, will sleep with your boyfriend if you keep hanging out with her. Because you pay attention to a woman's desperation up front. And don't have these type of women around you. Don't have women who really, you know, I see women who they don't want to settle down and have kids. They're pushing 40, pushing 50, maybe pushing 60. A lot of women already have kids but I see women closer within my age that and I've said this time and time again, it's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to learning from lesser women, you know, recently I met a woman who thought she was the shit, and her boyfriend is leaving her, you know, and she waltzed into a bar, you know, throwing herself at whatever, you know, throwing herself at the men there, desperate, thinking she was the shit because she is this, and I'm so beautiful, and, and she wasn't interested in being a mother. And what I saw, and the men there were trying to kind of warn her, like, hey, your guy's leaving you. You should probably be worried about, you should probably be trying to keep him instead of being at a bar trying to pick up men who already have kids and have families and who just see you as a sex object. But, you know, she thought highly of herself. And what I learned, and what I saw was, this is a woman who's going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, still turning down good men who will take care of her. Maybe they're white, and maybe you, as a white woman, are used to going out and getting brown and black men to fall at your feet. That you're, and you know, and there's a lot of these white women where you think you're the shit because you got some black dick somewhere, and now these good, superior white men are not good enough for you, and you're gonna end up alone, like black women mostly end up, just because we're black, for no other reason, because our men are trash. And now you know, you got a lot of these white women who think they're beautiful and they got some black dick and now they're too good. And you're going to be, you know, in your 50s, still not wanting kids, still desperate for attention from men, we're still dealing with other women's leftovers. Because you put too much merit in how you look. And it's dangerous for a white woman to put merit in how you look, because you white women, you age, you white women age very, very quickly. And she has 6-7 more months to look as beautiful as she does. And the wear and tear, because she already looks her age and doesn't realize it. I was her age, but I have people, the other day, a guy thought I was 17. You know, so, you know, you white women who be getting black, you all be careful, because you can't really swing it like a real black woman can into your 50s and still look in your late 20s. You all look your age, and you are letting this little black dick that you get, it's ruining your livelihood. And you're gonna end up thinking you can go into bars and flirt, and you're gonna end up bringing home other women's trash all of your life. And no good white man is gonna want to deal with you, and good black men are already married with kids. And I see good, happy marriages all the time. I see people that I respect, and I see women who end up alone because of how they are. You know, another woman I met, you know, she seemed cool at first, but she started, you know, she was looking for something to talk about, and then she started talking, and I realized she's fucking batshit crazy. She's nuts. She's hiding behind, being an entrepreneur, being this, or being a networking person, you know, and it's really, you know, these women have no substance, and they're trying to strike up conversation, and a lot of you women, especially you white women, you're not interesting. Where you're from isn't interesting. How you grew up isn't interesting. What you've been through isn't interesting. Who you know isn't interesting. What you know isn't interesting. And that's why you're not married. Because you would annoy the fuck out of any man who gave you time of day. Because as a bartender, we have to, it's almost our job to listen to uninteresting morons. But, a lot of women don't know that you're really dumb, annoying, and uninteresting. And a lot of those character traits come from mental disorders. For a white woman who, you know, is groomed to have to be a standard in society, to not know how to poise yourself in public and how to have cordial conversation, you know, without making people feel uncomfortable. You know, a lot of you women, you got psychological issues, and you're not, you won't get laid, you won't get attention from men, you can't keep a boyfriend because of it, And then your sexual frustration makes you even more aggressive and weird and annoying. And, you know, what I find is that, what I took from it is that if you do have some issues as a woman, get counseling, get group therapy, so you can, because a lot of you women, you have to talk, and you need to talk, and that's your problem. You can't solve your own problems. You need a crutch. But a lot of you women, you can't be independent, and you've pushed away everybody because of your weakness. You have a weak character, and no one wants to be involved with you because you need people to validate you. And that's why some of you need therapy, because you end up with psychosis. And it's okay to get help, and it's okay to get on medication if it allows you to have healthy relationships with other people. That can lead to you not just being single and end up being a crazy cat lady, you know, or what you know, or being a hoarder, or being, you know, end up being on some weird shit as you age, because you can't keep friends, you can't get along with other people because of your mental disorders. And a lot of you women have mental disorders because you need to talk. And that, you know, and you need to talk to somebody about why you constantly need to talk, even though you have absolutely nothing to say. And I learned that women, don't let your addictions, don't let your weirdness, don't let your depression and down on yourself, and, you know, a man is not going to want to deal with your psychosis. If you got issues from childhood, and your daddy touched you, and now you're a drug addict, and you this, that, and you grew up in a cult and everything, you need to work that shit out before you get out here and start trying to date. Because all dating is going to do is it probably just lower your self-esteem more, because no one's going to want to deal with you, you know, except a professional who is paid to, or a bartender who, again, is paid to. And in dating, I need people to understand, it is very important to pay attention to how the person you date treats wait staff. That will show you whether they are sane or not. It is important. Pay attention to how a person you date treats waitstaff, how they treat children, how they treat their parents, how they treat oppressed people. You know? How they treat people of other races. Pay attention. Ladies, don't think you can be out here addicted to this, alcoholic, addicted to TV programs, addicted to your own sorrow and depression, and find an eligible husband. You get over your damn demons. Get over your addictions, get over your psychosis, and then get out here and be of value to other people. And then a man might pay attention and say, oh, wow, she's valuable to others. Maybe I can make her a wife. And lastly, and this is more so with coworkers, because sometimes you can be intimate with coworkers, or, you know, even regulars. But I'm seeing older ladies, 50s or older, single, in abusive relationships, unable to find work, hanging out with exes who have already broken your heart. Ladies, if you're past 50 and you're still allowing men to treat you like shit, you're still hanging out with exes, you're still looking for, you're still letting men abuse you because he's a fine black dude, or what I'm saying, like, ladies, learn from older women. And if you don't have no older women that are role models, like me, I love Judge Lynn Toller. Her husband recently died, but I've always looked at her as a role model. I've talked about that a lot, but there are even Naomi Campbell, who might be controversial in some instances, but as a model, she's she just came out with Pretty Little Things. She's still getting it, and she's still beautiful, gorgeous. A few years ago, she did that thing in Paris with the sheer topless, like, and women are trying to imitate that. Like, find a role model. And when you see women out here who old enough to be your mama or your grandmama, and they still doing stuff that 20-year-old women aren't stupid enough to do. Like, there's 25-year-old women, 29-year-old women who are successful, have graduated college, have found a mate, are having kids, starting families, being wives, taking on a humongous responsibility of being a wife and a mother before they hit 30. And you don't know what they've been through. It's easy to say, oh, they have white privilege and they came from this and they came from the suburbs. You don't know. These women could have been raped when they were young. They could have came from abusive households. They could have been foster children. They could have been homeless at some point. You don't know what someone has been through until you talk to them. Whereas these white women who you dealing with young black men who are narcissists, sleeping around, you know what I'm saying, you making friends with women who don't even respect you. You know what I'm saying? You can't find jobs, can't keep jobs. You know what I'm saying? Hanging out with men who have broken your heart because you know what I'm saying, you don't know how to move on. Like, ladies, understand that a woman's personality, it don't change. People are who they are. But you don't want to be TLC did a song called Silly Hoe. If you gonna be a hoe, you better be winning. All right, you better be winning. I have a hashtag, hoes always win. Ask about it, learn about it. It's really more related to me as a music artist. But, really at the end of the day, without sacred femininity, you gonna be out here being a man's little plaything without getting yours. And if you're gonna be out here being a man's plaything, you need to be making money off of. You need to be benefiting from being objectified by a man. And if you're not getting marriage out of it, and you're not getting some form of wealth or prestige out of it, because prostitution was a sacred thing at one point in time, and it's still, to be a gifted woman and to have the gift of opening spiritual portals through sex, that's sacred, and that's something that a man has to earn. And it's no different than a man having to earn marriage to a woman by showing his worth. And you don't want to be out here at any age, but least of all past the age of 50, allowing men to so naive and so out and just so desperate out here, and so weak that you are still allowing men to disrespect you, allowing people to disrespect you, out here making stupid decisions where if you're single as a woman, one, in America and anywhere really, you're really not safe. And you really gotta be spiritual at you know, if you're really gonna be single as a woman and single in, you know, in mature ages, because 50 easily, just like 20 can easily turn into 40 or 50, 40 or 50 can turn into 70, 80. And at the end of the day, women, live your life in a way where it will get easier as you get older. You'll be fulfilled. Don't wait until it's too late to have kids to decide you want to learn how to be wife material and get chosen by a good man. Don't wait until, you know, you're past your prime. And your prime is different for everyone. All right? But don't wait till you're past your prime, till you're past that age of putting out the most, producing the most fruit. All right? Don't wait until you're past the prime years of your life of producing the most fruit to, you know, to try and harvest what you produce. You know, produce, save, build, buy a home, find stability. But by all means, as a woman, don't be out here thinking your looks are going to sail you through life. If there are not eligible black women, no. Black women are independent. Black women out here having babies because either the government's paying for them, or these black women out here college educated have their own home and stuff. That's why they having babies by men and just keeping a baby and leaving the dude. Because they know the man is just going to keep having sex, and she wanted a baby and she couldn't wait and she didn't want to date a white man. So she's a single mom. That's really what it boiled down to a lot of black women. Black women are okay with being single mothers. You know what I'm saying? But when you're a black woman like me who you know, requires masculinity, you know, when you're a black woman who understands superior men and requires that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna pop out a baby without being able to give it what I feel it deserves. But at the end of the day, I think black women tend to know better about how to be independent as a woman. But at the end of the day, sisters, when you have your own stuff, don't be letting these men, including your exes, come creep back into your life once you have your own. Because that's when these incubus, they want to come back. They want to drain your good energy. They want to benefit from what you have. And it you know, and another point right now, it's wintertime in Chicago. Sisters, a lot of black men are homeless and have nothing but gift of gab. And they are going to come calling and trying to talk and trying to say, I have this and I have that and I'm building this and doing that, but he still just needs a place to stay for the night, or he just needs this, or, you know what I'm saying, sisters, you know, in places like Chicago where it's cold, it gets cold 6 months out, you know, we got 4 good months of warm weather, and then, you know, the other 6-8 months it's chilly. This is when your homeless bum ass exes, or your bum ass good for no, your dad, you know what I'm saying, a lot of what your father, you know what I'm saying, he's a bum, you know what I'm saying, and he may be calling you for money or calling your mother, you know what I'm saying. A lot of black men in Chicago are bums. And you know, so ladies, if you've been with a bum, or you've dated a bum, or you realize that the guy you were dating or seeing is actually a bum. Because a homeless man, he can have a crib for a while, or he can have places to stay or see, but at the end of the day, he's a bum. And a bum is somebody who they don't want to fit into society. They want to make other people believe it is their responsibility. It is a form of narcissism, that it's a form of being an incubus, that the unclean spirit is obvious. A narcissist who's more of like these vampires, you know, a lot of times they come as a knight in shining armor. They show up as a knight in shining armor. They show up as the man of your dreams, the ideal mate, the ideal husband. And that's why, again, a lot of black women know better, but a lot of white women, you know, feel entitled to having the knight in shining armor. And you don't know, you know, when you get these black dudes, and they're narcissists. They are there to ruin your life. They're there to take all your energy, to take your good potential, your high empathic psychic healing power, and to drain you of it. And that's why I said, sisters, at the beginning of this upload, when I was dreaming about my ex with white women, it was not that they were Caucasian. It was that the women he's with, he drains them of all of their potential. And, you know, as a black woman, we're dominant genetic. We have, you know, higher melanin, thicker hair. That phenotype represents the life potential of us, the power. And so in the dream, again, it's not that you're dealing with white women. It's that all of the black women that you do deal with, or the women that you do deal with, you drain them to the point where they go from being black, meaning being full of every color, full of potential, to being white, meaning dead. Like I said, whiteness represents death too, meaning absent of all life and potential. He drains these women of their life force. And if they stay around him, they will be white or dead. So, you know, sisters, right now, a lot of black men, they're going to these white women to drain these white women of their life force. Because black women, you know, Armageddon is coming. It's time to repent. And a lot of black women, we are worried about our salvation, because we see our men hate their God. It's biblical. And there are not a lot of good black people. There are not a lot of good people in general. But a lot of other people don't have to deal with the wickedness of the black race. You get to go deal with white, upstanding people with white privilege who are educated, this, that, and yeah, they may be racist and they may be boring, but you don't have to deal with the self-hatred of black people. But it, you know, I don't want to say it's always a trade-off. At the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is a lot of people don't come from the real actual gutter like I do, and we're groomed around rich people to really understand the contrast between black people and white people post-slavery in America, and to understand why education and travel and dealing with foreigners and learning about your culture before slavery will enlighten you to how the world is and could be when you get out of the factory of America and out of TV programming. And you will learn to love people and love yourself instead of seeing yourself in a marginal sense, seeing yourself as a race or a gender or an income bracket. So, ladies, like I said, be careful You know, Ezulie, learn from lesser women. Let Ezulie show you what your man is worth. Because a woman like me, I know what it's like to have a man come home after work. Because being with you is more important than being with his boys or meeting new women. I know what it's like for a man to be there at my job waiting for me to get off, because you want to make sure that I don't have to walk down the street by myself, or that I don't have to travel home alone. You know, I know what it's like to have a man commit to you and want to live with you, even in a small space, because he's not going to get sick of being around me. He's not going to get bored with me. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be around me. He wants to be there. He wants to do what it takes to be with me. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to have my heart broken. I know what it's like to have someone want to degrade me because they're so threatened by how good of a woman I am that they want to chop me down to size in order to feel comfortable with being around me. I know what it's like for a man to be in public and to be intimidated by being next to a model and how much attention I get, and not being confident enough because he doesn't know how to fight. He isn't a martial artist. He isn't a proud black man who knows how to stand up to white supremacy or all those things. And I know what it's like to have a man who can go anywhere and everywhere because he will defend me, because he has self-respect. And he doesn't let the world walk all over him. So he can be with a beautiful woman because he can defend my honor and his. I know what it's like for a man to want to be with me because he has the highest standards of femininity and I match his greatness. And I know what it's like to be Snow White around 7 fucking dwarves. And I know what it's like to be kissed by Prince Charming. So ladies, you know, if you don't have a vast amount of experiences where you don't have no goddamn wisdom about dealing with niggas, dealing with men, then learn from lesser women. If you don't have no role models and you don't have no sacred spirituality and you too, you know, too egocentric to book a reading, to get an oracle consultation, or to, you know, to learn from women who obviously have power, then at the least you can do is learn from women that you don't want to be like. Learn from women that are demonstrating they're single because they have issues. And it's not okay to be a single woman unless you really, you know, a witch can be single we can be single forever. I personally don't want to. I'm not that type of witch. But most witches, you know what I'm saying, most, and black women in particular, are okay with being single. They're okay with it. I like to share myself. I like to share my love, you know, but, a lot of, like I said, a lot of women, you can't get over hurt and pain. You get your heart broken one time and now you have an eating disorder and now you become obese. Or now you're addicted to drugs, or now you're addicted to sex, and you're addicted to filling that void and having whatever nigga you can just to say you have one. And you're not okay with being single, doing the healing work, doing the prayer work, going on a retreat, meeting new friends, figuring out what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And sometimes you didn't do anything wrong in the relationship. Sometimes what you did wrong was you let lesser people in your life. You let people who were not college educated like you into your life. You started hanging out with someone based on the fact that you smoke weed together, or you like to get drunk at a bar together, instead of hanging out with someone based on the fact that, hey, we're both writing a book, or hey, we both want to build our community doing this. Let's start this coalition or something. Sometimes what you did wrong was you let the wrong thing help you relate to the wrong people instead of focusing on producing fruit in this world that is beneficial to other people and meeting other people who are actually out here fruitful with a lot to offer. and you settled for the people who was in your face instead of the potential of the people that you haven't met yet through doing God's work, through doing something with higher potential, because most people is fucking somebody they working with. So a lot of times, I'm not saying get involved with your coworkers, but what I'm saying is when you are meeting ladies, when you meet men based on what you're doing in your career, what you're doing, that's when a man's going to recognize your worth. A lot of these women, you know, you can get married and have kids. But a lot of these women, they end up divorced, they end up unhappy, they end up looking for some younger dick or some black dick or something to, you know, after the divorce and everything, because at the end of the day, as a woman, you have to be developed first. If all you want to be is some man's wife and somebody's mama, you could do that with anybody. But ladies, really, really have some substance, really have something to offer, so you can really find a man that you relate to in a lasting way, like your lifestyles blend together. Because if it's just about sex and he's just fine and you want to be that lady who catches this fine man, you're going to end up being catfished all of your fucking life by these incubus out here who play on your ego. Ladies, you are with these narcissists or these energy vampires because of your ego. You want to be the one who said you got him. You want to compete with these other women that he is having sex with and using the same way he's using you. But you want to compete. You want to say, I got him. You want to be the one who says, I got this bad boy who hates women, you know, and worships Satan. He's don't let a man drain you, and don't keep going from one incubus to another incubus. Heal. Because I see it. These women, you starts off in your late 20s or your late 30s, but it ends up being in your late 50s and 60s. You are still dealing with men who play on your ego, play on the idea, play on your need to compete with other women. Instead of saying, you know what, I want to find a good man who loves me, who would be a good father because he will commit to me, settle down, give him babies because he already has a home and a car, but more importantly, he already has morals. Ladies, if you're dealing with this demon of Jezebel that's keeping you single, that's keeping you attracted to men who hate you, who want to see you lose, who will get with you when you're winning and do everything to make you lose, to lower your self-esteem until you now have a thirst for other narcissists because you have so much to prove, instead of saying, you know what, this fine ass man abused me. This man with good sex abused me. And I need to heal from it. And I need to exorcise this demon that is making me attracted to abusive men. And I need to pray to be attracted to a man who is husband material. Particularly my husband. Not other woman's husband, not another woman's leftovers, not a man who can be my husband, but he will still flirt and sleep with other women at his leisure. Your husband, a man who loves you unconditionally, who will do what Adam did, which is fall from God's grace just to be with you. A man who will reject other women because seeing you happy is more important than needing to take the energy of any woman who throws it at him. That's an energy vampire. A man who is an energy vampire cannot reject another woman's advances because his very diet, his very survival depends on getting a woman's attention. He will never reject another woman's attention for you because he has to feed. He has to eat. He is a vampire. So any woman who gives him her sexual lust, he is going to take it until he drains her of it. And if you are stupid enough to keep doing that to him, he will age you. And you white women, you want to deal with black men who are energy vampires when you already age in your 20s, white women. Y'all age in your 20s. And you think being with a black man is going to give you youth and beauty of a black woman, when most of the time you're getting with an energy vampire who sees you as something to feed off of because you're a desperate white woman. Black women know better dealing with niggas, but you white women, you are desperate to be cursed, and that's what you end up. And and for all women, like I said, you got to work on your ego. You got to work on why you keep allowing these narcissistic men, because they're fine and because they do, you know what I'm saying? You got to work on your need to be the top shit and be the hot shit, because you end up with these men who Satan feeds off of your pride. And you know, the point in this whole upload is to let you women know, at the end of the day, it's your pride that is keeping you single. Your pride. You can be good, you can be fine, you can have all this, but don't let your pride cause you to deal with the wrong type of men. And don't let your pride cause you to reject good men who will treat you right and do not need to degrade you to be with you. Any man who has to degrade you to be with you, that is an energy vampire. I see it all the time. And some of you women, you're so weak and full of pride that you can't be alone and do the healing work to attract the right type of man and to get rid of this demon that causes you to lust after Satan instead of Adam. You know, that Garden of Eden stuff is real. So be careful, ladies. Be careful of Satan coming as a knight in shining armor when Adam is fallen from grace for you. You know, and he may not be a tall, dark, and handsome black dude. He may not be, you know, the devil himself. But ladies, you want to keep dealing with these demons out here? You're going to keep dealing with these devils out here? You're going to lose your beauty. You're going to lose your youth. You're going to lose your voice. And then you're going to lose all your self-esteem. You're going to be looking like Marge Simpson's sisters. Looking old, smoking, sounding hoarse, overweight, and just drained. But Satan is going to make you think that you are still this young, beautiful, youthful woman who can go out into a bar and throw yourself at any man and have it your way. And a lot of you older women, you think that you are like that, but you really looking like Marge Simpson's sisters, sounding like Marge Simpson's sisters, and because you let demon, incubus, energy vampires drain you and keep you in this state of constant prostitution, of constantly needing attention from men, and more so importantly, constantly needing attention from another woman's man. Instead of rejecting a man who has nothing to offer, who sees you as an object, even though he already has a baby mama or a wife or baggage or just nothing to offer. But you just constantly have to have that pride of, oh, I can get what I want and have, you know, ladies, stop it. Do what you need to do to be attractive to a decent, moral, healthy man with a home and a car and stability. A lot of you women don't have it like that. And ladies, you deal with a narcissist, you gonna end up being in abusive relationships. You gonna end up hanging out with your ex who done cheated on you with your best friend or your cousin or this, that, and you still hanging out calling him a friend. These men are not your friends. Stop being friends with men who have cheated on you, who have slept with your friends and family members, who have degraded you to your face, who have used you for money. Stop being friends with your ex. He's not your friend. He wasn't your friend to begin with. He wasn't your friend when he broke your heart. He's not your friend now. Some of you ladies are too goddamn old to be hanging out with men who don't even like you, just to say you got a friend. That shit is pathetic. Ladies, there's no rush to get married, especially if you need to heal in order to know your worth as a woman and to remember how God designed you and how a man should treat you. And older women, don't be out here trying to keep up with younger women. These younger women are fucking miserable. Because all the men have had sex changes and the ones that haven't are gay. So ladies, stop being out here trying to keep up with younger women. If you don't look 20 years younger than your age, don't be out here trying to act like you do. Stop, ladies, stop being out here making fools of yourselves. Know your place. And don't ever stop putting effort into looking beautiful. Because the moment you as a woman stop putting effort into how you look, that's the moment you lose your power. That's the moment you have let men win. Always, always, always go out into the world and look your best. Ladies, when you put your worst foot forward in society, you attract men who are on that wavelength. And if that's what you want to be surrounded by a bunch of worthless men, keep doing what you're doing. But if you really want something better for yourself than what you have had, you have to make the changes. The world is not going to revolve around you. You have to figure out where you fit in, and you have to get help if you need help. Because the men you are with are a true reflection of who you are. And it is better to be single than to be with a man who treats you like trash. Peace and love.